Hey guys, today I have a really awesome video for you about my recent trip up to Lansing, Michigan. I met a good friend earlier in the year named Dylan Carpenter from GetWeird Outdoors, and he was nice enough to let me come up there and hunt some of the properties that he has permission on. It's totally awesome, super thankful for that. And so I went up there to see him and try to get on some big bucks together. And this whole video is just going to be kind of a story of the whole trip all together. So it's a little bit longer than my normal videos, but it was a whole lot of fun. I had fun getting out there filming it and making it and editing it. So with all that being said, let's jump into it. So it is November 4th today. Just kind of getting everything together so that we can ride up to Michigan tonight and also be driving tomorrow morning. It's going to be 12 hours to get up there, but I think it'll be more than worth it. Kind of getting everything put together right now because I'm a physics student, so I have a lot of homework to do on a normal basis. And I kind of got to shove the week's homework into a few days. The week's just work in total. And that's been fairly rough. I woke up at 5:30 this morning to start doing some of the worst math you've ever seen. But that's fine. I'm just excited to get into the woods. This first week in November, it's one of the best weeks to ever be in the woods. Really, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th are just amazing. Missed out on the 3rd and the 4th, but maybe the 5th will be in the woods that evening. Really excited, got everything put together. Now it's just a matter of time. Just got out of my last class until Michigan, so I'm done class for the week. Personally, they're still going to have class, but I'm not going. I'm going to Michigan and go deer hunt. So it's 3 o'clock, and we should be heading out soon. That's not going anywhere. All right. We're gassed up. Truck's loaded up. Back's loaded up. Now, just waiting on a woman. Yeah. So, we're getting ready. I got her here. We're going to head that way. Alright, so with everything all packed up, we started heading towards Michigan. It was about a 12-hour drive. We left in the evening and slept halfway through in Kentucky. And then we did the rest in the morning. But eventually, we did get to Michigan and started hunting soon after. Alright, so, just got in Michigan 30 minutes ago. Texted Dylan and he said, let's get in the woods ASAP. So I ran inside the Airbnb, took the fastest shower of my life, got dressed, and I packed. In my mind, from Georgia, I'm thinking Michigan, it's going to be super cold. I looked at the weather, it said 30s to 50s. I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to pack for 30s to 50s. Currently, it's 65 degrees. So, last thing I have is this t-shirt. I'm going to bring a little jacket. I got super heavy pants on, but we made it out to the woods. There's about 2 hours until dark. We walked all sorts of water and nastiness. At one point it was like a foot of water and it went through my boots, or went over my boots. My feet are wet currently. It's much warmer than I thought it would be, so it's not really a problem yet. We're all set up. And now, I'm gonna wait for that golden hour. Well, the first night is done. Well, we were in there for about 2.5 or 3 hours by the time we got there. I saw 3 deer while we were in there, and one while we ran out. Bumped one coming out. So I saw 4 deer. I watched the buck make a scrape out in front of me, and then a doe ran by about 40 yards past him, and he went after her. He's a small 8. Nice looking deer though. He was probably about 80 yards away from me though, so I tried to record him, but I'm not sure if that made it. We got plans for the morning and afternoon. We're gonna have some good hunts tomorrow. Just on the drive back, I have seen 5 deer, 5 or 6 deer. There's another one just ran on the road. I'm not even kidding. That makes 6 or 7 deer, and the first one I saw was a nice 8-point. He was probably, I don't know, every bit of 120 inches, just standing there staring at me on the side of the road. Day 2. Number 2. We got set up a little late, but all good now. All set up. I've already seen a window right at daylight. She was kind of running around a little funny, so she wasn't being chased. Not yet. But we'll be watching her path and see what happens. Seeing 8 deer. It was mostly does. I only saw 1 deer that I couldn't tell what was. So I saw 1 buck. I'm not sure if the camera could pick him up because he was pretty far away. But I grunted to him, tried to bring him in, and he did not like it. I did like 1 or 2 like small social contact grunts, and then he threw his tail up and looked the other way. So it is what it is. Sometimes they like them, sometimes they don't, depending on where you are. Different for every deer. But yep, I'm gonna go home, get some lunch, and then get back at it. Well, actually, wound up seeing more deer on the way home than I did in the stand this evening. I saw 4 on the way home. Got skunk this evening, didn't see anything. I was sitting in some really pretty woods, but just not the night for him, I guess. But try it again in the morning. Going to go to a different spot in the morning and see what we can find. So on this particular day, we got to sit in some really pretty woods, but we actually didn't wind up seeing anything all morning until as soon as we left, we were walking past the cornfield, and of course, big buck comes up 200 yards away from us and is running just out of where we came from. But that's how it goes sometimes. And then we went into hunting later in the evening in another beautiful spot. The spot we hunted in the evening was where Dylan had got some really big trail cam pictures, but unfortunately I didn't wind up seeing much other than a bunch of geese. The wind was perfect and it was a really nice looking day, but no deer movement. So, this evening, didn't see anything except for about 150 geese in the field behind me. I saw more deer on the way home. I saw 6 on the way home, 2 of which were bucks, 2 of which I thought about running over, but I didn't. The 1 deer we saw today was a huge buck that came out of the woods as we were walking out this morning. We were walking out, we had to walk across the cornfield. That was probably 200 yards long, and by the time we got to the end of the cornfield, we looked back and the buck is running out of where we just were not 5 minutes before. So yeah, and then he just kept running. He didn't know we were there, didn't know anything. He was just running and rutting and all those great things. But tomorrow's the last full day. I'm said today was the last full day, but I thought it was Sunday. So today is Saturday, November the 7th. I said the 7th, but I still said Sunday. So yeah, tomorrow, Sunday, last full day. So after all the long hunts we've had this week, I wasn't the only one getting tired, but somebody had to stay awake and look for deer. We were sitting in a really beautiful spot. It's probably my favorite looking spot that we sat in all week. Back behind us was just a whole bunch of open hardwoods. Had a good cover though for deer, and out in front of us was a nice cornfield, and it just looked like a really pretty spot to have deer. But we only wound up seeing the one doe, and she didn't really give us a shot. For our last evening hunt, we decided to go to a different property, which Dalen had seen deer previously. And I was hunting in the corner of this little property on a hang-on stand that was a little bit sketchy to climb up, but it was fine. I was terrified to climb down once I got up there, but that didn't stop me once I saw deer later. It was kind of a quiet night, quiet evening. I didn't really see much until just before dark. I saw 2 does, and they were just out of range, but I figured those were going to be the last 2 deer I saw because that's supposed to be the last full day of hunting. I thought I could maybe squeeze in a couple more hours tomorrow, but wasn't counting on it. So I decided to go down for a spot and stalk. I grabbed my bow and I ran down that tree much faster than I came up, and I tried to go out there after him, but it just got too dark too quickly, and I tried to go way too fast, and did not wind up getting near close enough to shoot them with a bow, but it was a whole lot of fun, and I did a whole lot better than I expected to. Another rough evening. I saw 2 does right before dark, and they were just at 60 yards. Not comfortable shooting anything over 40. I couldn't really, they were even through some brush. I couldn't even get a range on them, but I'm just estimating about 60 yards or farther than I could shoot. So I knew that was probably going to be the last chance I got. We have 2 hours in the morning worth of daylight before I really have to head back home for a 12-hour drive. So we were going to sit in the morning for 2 hours, but I turned the GoPro around. GoPro's the only thing I'm filming with at the moment, and I turned it around and pointed in that direction that they were, and then after I knew they were going to keep going away from me, I ran down that climb-on stand as fast as I could. It was pretty janky, to be honest. It was sketchy, but I did it, and I snuck out there, and I was going to do a spot and stalk, and honestly, I got way farther than I thought I was going to. So the last range I got on them as they were going away from me was 120. So they were 120 from me in the stand when I decided to run down. I ran down and had to go through all the, super crunchy leaves and everything else. Managed to sneak out there into a little cornfield, and between me getting down from the tree and me getting to the edge of the cornfield, I couldn't see them because the corn was uncut for most of it. There's a few areas that were like bare for whatever reason, and so I had to get out there and find them again. So I did find them again, and they were probably at 100-ish yards when I found them again, and I started sneaking up closer to them, and it was getting dark really quick. Like I had maybe 2 or 3 minutes before I couldn't see through my sight anymore. Probably less than that, honestly, from looking at the GoPro. And I tried to go too fast, and I stepped on a corn stalk and it crunched, and they looked up and ran off. But it was a lot of fun. Dylan sat just on the other side of the property. It's a small property, and he sat just on the other side, probably 200 or 300 yards through the woods, and he saw all sorts of deer, and I only saw 2 the whole time. So I'm gonna sit over there with him in the morning for a couple hours before I have to head out, and hopefully we can get one. And if not, that's just how it is. Not every hunt is successful, but it's sure a whole lot of fun. So I've had a good time regardless of if we make it or not, but Alright, so I kind of want to set up this next morning for you. We had run out of time earlier in the week. I'm not even supposed to be hunting this morning. And then I'm like, you know what? Haven't shot a deer yet. I really don't want to go home empty-handed. I have a buck and a doe tag. I'll sit for 2 more hours in the morning before I really got to get going home on my 12-hour drive in one straight shot. So I sit back over where Dylan was sitting last evening, where he saw tons of deer. I didn't sit in the exact spot, but we sat close to each other. I could see him through the woods. And a doe comes up before daylight, and I'm not an expert at filming or anything yet, and I'm just getting started into it, so it was bright enough for me to see, not really bright enough for the camera to see all that well. But I flick my GoPro on, and then I'm sitting there waiting on her, and she comes within range when it's still like kind of dark and tell it's a deer, but I can't really see her yet. And so I let her hang out for a little while, and then it gets light enough for me to see. And so I'm sitting there, and I decide to grab my bow. And when that happens, I'm a little impatient because I'm a little excited because it's the only deer I've had within range. Well, the only deer I've had within range I've been able to shoot this whole trip. So I pull it. I think I made a little bit of noise or something, and she kind of bounds backwards and kind of scared. She didn't know what happened. She heard something she wasn't cool with. And so she kind of makes like she's going to start walking away, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you know, brain going 100 miles an hour. I'm like, this is going to be the last deer that's within range, and I got to go home in an hour and a half. Like, this is it. So I decide I'm sitting down. I got to stand up because sitting down, my arm was at half draw, hitting the back of the tree. So finally I decide, she stops for a minute. I decide to just stand up, draw back, look real quick, and fling an arrow. And that's what I wound up doing. And so let's take a look at that shot. So I just had what I think was that 6-point that Dylan saw yesterday. Went around running about 6 or 7 does. And there's a little spider point behind him as well. So there's a lot of deer here all at once. Anyway, we got a deer down, baby. There's a bunch of hair right here. Blood all right here. She is laying. I don't think you can see her, but I can see her laying just on the other side there. Always, always, always. There's your dead deer from the rear. Dead deer from the rear. Remember that. That way, it gives them an opportunity to run forward if they are in fact alive. Now, this deer's been laying here for over an hour. I know she's more than likely dead. That doesn't change the fact that I'm going to approach her from the rear to make sure. Yeah. Hang right there. It's easy. Just run right back up on them. I see a ton of the hunting videos where the guys shoot big bucks and all they show is them running up right to it. And that's, even if they check it beforehand, that's terrible TV. Tons of them right here. That's blood trail. Very, very dead. She kicked around in here for a while. She's got some blood out there. It's easier to enter. Not worry. Exit. I mean, you really right there. So I found the arrow where I shot her in the neck. There's one little speck of blood, and that's it. No blood, after I got to the road. Nice little neck shot. I'm gonna say that's exactly where I was aiming. And yeah, carrying way too much stuff. This is it. Headed back home. So, Dylan's in there hanging up the camera. I don't know if you can see him. Just wait on him, and then we'll get going. So that is my total Michigan story. It was a great time. I had so much fun. Thankfully, I was able to get that buzzer beater doe in the end, pushing it that extra 2 hours in the morning. Totally worth it. I did wind up getting home at like 1:30 or 2 a.m. because of that, but on my 12-hour drive, but it was totally worth it for me. I had a great time. Super thankful to Dylan for allowing me to come up there and hunt on his properties. I can't wait to do it again, either in Michigan or wherever else. I had a great time. I hope you enjoyed it too. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.